Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the council meeting to order and apologize for being a little tardy. We're still dealing with some technology issues. First thing I'm going to ask for, is there any agenda changes?
No agenda changes as far as additional items, Mayor. I will note that on the consent agenda, that should say ordinance number 2021 AP 08 instead of AP 07. And then there are some additional handouts that were with your agendas as far as updated items for some of the packet items. So, but no changes to the agenda as presented.
Okay. We're going to move on to public forum. Is there anybody here wishing to address the council this evening that's not on the agenda? Seeing no movement from the gallery, I'm going to close the public forum and move on and ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda for April 26, 2021 as presented.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, the consent agenda passes. And we'll move on to unfinished business. And we have one item under unfinished business, and that's a public hearing on distressed property at 322 Harvey. And Ethan will give us an update on what's going on there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the original scheduled closing did not take place as indicated at our last meeting, but we were informed that closing did take place today at about 2:30. So Mr. Stebbins called and informed that he had signed his paperwork related to that. So at this point, with a new owner to that property, as City Attorney Jantz has mentioned in the past, this does not make that distressed property hearing go away, but for us to have time to coordinate with the new owner and have them come and present whatever their plans are to deal with the items that need remediated on the property, we would ask for a continuation until our May 10th meeting. And hopefully that will allow enough time for us to get in contact with them and have the new property owner present.
Ethan, that's
You
the.
did state that you did state that the closing did happen today.
Yes, we were, as long as the other party showed up and signed theirs, because they don't have them in the same room anymore because of COVID, but.
Good. We've used a whole lot of ink keeping this thing going forward. Be nice to get it off of there.
But yeah, by all indications, and talking also to the representative from South Law who's been at some of our meetings, they received the same notification, so we believe the property is sold.
So Ethan, do we think with the new owners taking possession of the property, do we think that this is giving them enough time, or do we need to wait until the last meeting of May to give them ample time to come back with a plan on how they're going to remediate the property?
I think that would definitely be more generous. I mean, I don't know how, I'm not sure, because we don't know exactly who it was, how aware they are of the issues or what that plan is, but
Chance to
I
get
don't,
them over.
I don't see an issue from our side with doing it.
I just personally think that there's probably going to be some unknowns that they weren't able to identify during their walkthrough and all, that maybe we give them till the end of the month of May to come back with a proposal.
And that'd be fine, but you are gonna reach out prior to that, right?
Yeah, as soon as we get notification that like the county records have been updated and changed, we'll.
Okay,
we'll
you
make
just bought
contact.
this property that has issues.
Yeah, I mean.
Come talk to us.
Well, essentially, yeah, disclose or give them copies of, that original letter.
Okay.
The resolution. I would hope they're already aware of that through the selling process. but-
Sure.
But this would take place between you and the new buyer, not the city council and the new buyer?
Just that initial discussion, they would still need to come because this is the public hearing is a function of the governing body. So they still need to come and present, and at that time, the council has the option to proceed with other options or allow the new owner to have their plan and follow through on their plan kind of as a.
So does he need to be here the May 10th meeting to know what's expected and then final at the last council session? Which is the best scenario there?
I would say probably Councilmember Wallace's suggestion of just having them make that first That way they're prepared and maybe have a presentation of whatever their plans are for on the 24th.
So that's May the 24th? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion for the continuation of the dispersed property public hearing for 322 Harvey until May 24th, 2021.
Second.
Heard the motion and the second to continue this public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That passes. Now we'll move on to new business. Item number 1 under new business is presentation and consideration of security upgrades, and I'll throw that to Ethan.
Thank you. In your packet, and you guys have seen those quotes before at our last work session as well, that you do have as a handout, new business number 1, which is an updated quote that reflects the monitors that were asked about during the city council work session to be added to that. And at this point, I believe Chris is here from INA, and allow him to present kind of on their proposal and answer some of those technical questions that you all had at the work session.
Okay. So thanks for having us tonight. Chris Landrum with INA Alert. Been working really closely with Ethan, chief over here. So tonight you're in luck because co-owner came down to explain some stuff. So you guys will see me probably more than you'll see Jake. But as far as knowledge goes, he's way better than me at this. So.
Thanks for having us. Jake Strecker, one of the co-founders, co-owners of INA Alert. So, yeah, what questions do you have? It was a small family company that started 10 years ago in the back of a garage in Ellenwood, Kansas. So, happy to answer any questions. What you're looking at as far as the system goes, I came down, I was able to actually present the software and the form function to the chief and to Ethan, just here in the other room. So they have an idea of how to use it and what it's capable of. But you're looking at the same kind of system that's in Sterling. It's the same system that's in Ellsworth and several other communities across the state. So we've been very fortunate to work with small town Kansas, because that's who we are. And we've made a home in these communities. So please, whatever questions you may have, fire away.
One of the concerns was expandability of this, was it not? Where we could eventually maybe go out to the waste treatment plant and.
Possibly the golf course.
Do you guys do any proprietary linking for
No.
remote stuff?
No, we do not. Nothing we do is proprietary. So if in a couple years, 3, 4, 5 years, something happens and you want to go a different direction, everything we do is ONVIV compliant, which is the governing body or kind of the governing standards for security. And if you wanted to go a different direction, then you would have that capability.
What about remote telemetry? So say down the road, we want to add some equipment in our golf course or our wastewater treatment plant. Can we remote that stuff and get it back here?
Absolutely. So the way Ellsworth is set it up, Ellsworth is set up very similar to what you're talking about. Ellsworth did their new splash pad they have, their waste treatment, their swimming pool, golf course, city parks, and we're able to transmit that actually up to their grain elevator there in town, then back down to the city hall. Officers as well have access to said cameras during active duty and in their squad cars.
Are you using a licensed band for that or unlicensed band?
Unlicensed.
Unlicensed.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
like 900 megahertz spread spectrum frequency?
900, I think, is Verizon, or one of the cell signals is in 9, but I'd have to look. Yeah, it's the unbanded, so no license fee or structure to it.
On this initial equipment that you're going to install,
Yes, sir.
I understand all electronic equipment has a life expectancy. Where do you think that life expectancy is on the equipment you're going to install?
Right now, it's a 5-year warranty on all the equipment we're installing, which is a pretty hefty warranty for electronics. But we've been doing a Vigilon as our go-to, and have installed thousands of the cameras. And September of last year, when we were doing all the math, we'd returned 9 cameras in a year and a half. And so it's, we're probably in that 12 to 20 range by now, but, we're installing thousands and thousands of cameras a year. And so to only have a return rate of, less than 1%, I feel pretty confident that the systems we put out there tend to balance between that 5 to 8 year range, which is pretty average for any electronics these days.
So cost of ownership is pretty low.
Cost of ownership with a Vigilon is extremely low because there's no annual or recurring license fee. The only time there's a fee associated with the system is if you accept or if you want to update a version shift to where it goes from version 7 to 8, much like a Windows version 10 to XP or whatever it is. But on an annual recurring basis, there is no license charge. There are firmware revisions that are free as well, and we work with local IT and push those out for you. And you can either get that through a downloadable link, or we can drop off a flash drive.
I guess my last question would be to Ethan and Pat and the fire department, and we do have a police department, yeah?
Yeah.
Does this equipment meet the expectations that you're looking for? I mean, is this something you're satisfied with?
I guess, on my side of it, looking at the equipment and everything, the way it's set up, a couple really positive things about it are, one, the quality of the video. You see pictures all the time of real grainy video that you can't make out what it is. The quality of video is what we will need to be able to actually identify people if we need to later. That's one of the biggest positives on the police department side. And then the whole project that you guys have in front of you, the security also of upgrading the doors, that's huge for us.
Yeah.
It makes the accessibility for the public easier and for the employees. The public, being able to set it to automatically lock and unlock. So, like you guys sometimes, like, oh, I don't remember my code, or I don't have it with me, but the door's locked, you can't get in, that won't be an issue anymore. Also, the maintenance of new employees coming in and out, it's really simple, the software, to get that token back and reassign it, or it restrict, like certain doors we won't want people to have access to. So overall, I really like the quality of the whole system.
Does this have the capability, I said this is going to be my last question.
Fire away.
Does this have the capability to, say we have a situation, somebody gets mad at Josh, going to retaliate, can we lock this building down totally?
Yep. You have 2 options. You can either have you have 3 options. You can have an option on your cell phone. You can have an option on your desktop where you can just go and click a button and it'll lock down the entire system. Or you can have a predetermined icon, badge, card, whatever we're going with, and have that in a secure location. Grab it, present it to any of the doors, and it automatically triggers it into that.
Is that included
All
in
that-
this package?
All that's included.
Josh, would you have any need for a PTZ camera, a camera that rotates 360 degrees?
Looking at where these are set, I don't think so. I mean, we were able to place them where it's gonna get the coverage we need for the front of the buildings and the side, the alley. And in the lobbies, it's a straight shot, so I mean, unless there's something I don't see that you guys install these every day do, I don't think so. You, Ethan?
No, I mean, most of it, when we had them set it up, I mean, yeah, we would probably defer back to them, but most of where we were looking at setting them were kind of straight shot areas, or between multiple straight shots, we have a full picture of like the
lobbies are small enough that one camera can shoot the whole thing.
So will we have a camera facing out Main Street and another one out here this way?
One on Main, one on Third, and then one in the alley behind
Okay.
where, like, the pay box is.
Yeah, I remember speaking of a safe place or a safe space where somebody can do transactions.
So we'll have the ability to see both streets here.
Okay.
So
And more cameras can be added as we go along, should we
Absolutely.
find a void.
Yeah,
that we need
there's
to fill.
no, excuse me, there's no limitation to how many cameras you add to the system. Initially, I'd have to look at the specs. You'd have to forgive me, I don't know off the top of my head, but minimum, when we build a system for the first time, it's about 45 days on average of stored recording. As you add to that system, obviously that starts to cut into those number of days. But the other thing we can set up, if we ever get close to that below 30 threshold that you're comfortable with, we can auto archive. So at night, it would just do a data dump to a external hard drive or an external server, and you still have access to that footage that's been recorded. It's just not as readily available through the program.
Well, if there's no more questions,
Availability and lead time,
As far as
installation of all of this.
comes out of Texas,
Tomorrow morning.
good luck. My brother-in-law is actually in charge of all the installations, so if I ran to him and said, hey, you need that tomorrow morning, he'd probably pack my sister up and head back to Texas.
I'm just looking for,
Yeah, I mean, ballpark, you're looking 6 weeks. That's what it is on average right now.
so is there a longer installation discount? I said he can do it in 4.
Could be a, what is that?
He must have a lot of free time then.
Now,
Numbers, Ethan, that we were talking about?
Yeah,
on
the, if you find the quote that was for the Halstead Police Department and City Hall, that 14,384.88 number, is adjusted, I wanna say
that
that's.
version migration, what's typically the cost on that?
$300.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the proposal from INA Alert for security and access control upgrades to city buildings and property for a project amount not to exceed $60,000, maximum 6 weeks, completion on install.
second.
Well, you've heard that motion. In the second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Pressure's on.
Cornwell under pressure.
Congratulations, you won the contract with some terms.
He shows up in 5 weeks.
Like
That's
the way you-
reasonable, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move on to the next item under new business. It's consideration of equipment sale and purchase for Halstead Fire. And I see Jim out there tonight, and I would like to welcome him to the podium. Hi, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Many years ago, I told the guys earlier today, you can tell you've been here a long time when you start replacing stuff that you got that you were excited about many years ago. So I guess we're at one of those points. What we've been working on when we got the Gator, John Deere Gator from the Forestry Service, which has turned out to be a pretty good acquisition for us as far as very low hours, and we've done some maintenance on it, and we've got it together now where it's we've done the things we needed to kind of update it, and it is in service for us. So our golden plan with that is to kind of use it for sporting events and things around town and, old settlers and all that stuff. And then we also had in the future plans to acquire another UTV as we go along, and that is approaching later on. So with that, we don't need all of these at once. So we would like, we kind of let it be known to several places around that we had our UTV with the skid unit. It's a wildland skid unit that it's 55-gallon tank. It's pretty common on those size of units, and we've had that unit and the skid unit for several years now, 13 to be exact. So we let it be known. Several places were interested. One was particularly interested, and they made an offer to us, and I think it's a pretty fair offer. liquidate it and move it on down to them. It's sharing the fire department piece of equipment with another department. They asked if the trailer could come with it. I have looked at that trailer for years, and when we bought the trailer, we kind of had to buy it as is, and it's always been too light. When you get a UTV on there loaded with water, that was a really under 3,000 pound trailer, and it's too light. And we've ate tires up. It's been obvious, if several of you have seen it out, it's obvious to see. Matter of fact, we had to put some tire on it.
But it made it.
It made it. So, long story short, that's what the first part of this is to see if we could liquidate the current unit and the trailer and move it on down. And I believe in the package, you have a letter from the city of Colwich with the 2007 Ranger listed on there, the trailer on there. It has a snow blade. We do not longer use the snow blade as much, mainly because we are fortunate enough to have several members of some snow removal folks that work for us, and they always make it a point to come swing by and do our property. So that's just something we don't need. Takes up space and just isn't needed. So I guess that. Do you have any questions on that?
Are you happy with the Colwich offer? to
I
buy?
believe it's a fair offer. We've researched what we could sell them independently as we go. I think it's pretty fair if you look at the offer. It's fair to them, and I believe it's fair to us also. Gives us some room to replace some stuff and just save up, I guess. It's the right word. So,
Well, if there's no more questions or discussion, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 04-26-2108, a resolution declaring certain property of the city of Halstead, Kansas to be surplus and ordering said property to be sold.
Second.
Heard the motion in the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sold, Jim.
thank you very much. The next item on there is, with that, we would like to purchase a trailer. The skid unit is also on there. It comes from two different places. If you haven't tried to purchase a trailer since COVID has come out, you'll find that that is not an easy task. We called a number of places. We were fortunate enough, Trailers Plus did have one. It's a little heavier than what we were going to do, which would be a 5,000 pound tandem. But this is a 7,000, and the cost difference is fairly minimal. And I think in this case, size-wise, it's about the same, but weight ability, I think it will pay benefits in the long run. The other one, the Wildland skid unit, comes from Heimerman Fire Equipment. And it is 21,992.95, and that's a pretty standard unit. It's got the high pressure pump. If you use that kind of system, you want a high pressure pump on it, and the reasoning is it saves water. You get a lot of volume out of it and a lot of reach, which is a necessity for those deals.
Jim, I have
Yes.
one question for you there on that,
Yes.
on that rear gate trailer. You're
Yes.
talking about a pretty heavy-duty trailer being 7,000 pounds, and I commend you for going that direction.
Yeah.
I'd rather see it
Me too.
overrated than underrated.
Yes.
But one thing you might consider doing to that trailer, and it could be looked at as a safety issue, have them put gator lifts on that rear tailgate. It's
Okay.
probably a $500 or $600 option, but one person can bring it down and put it up. It's not going to fall and hit somebody.
Okay.
I'd
Yeah,
certainly recommend it. If you want to see how that works, I have one set up that way, and I would not be without it.
I've seen them, I know exactly what you're talking about on that. They would be a worthwhile project, and that could be something we could add.
So, yeah, but you want to catch this all in the same thing?
Sure, yeah.
So we'd do for a budget not to exceed, say, $6,000 or $6,200, somewhere in there. If there's no other questions,
And Ethan, if it does go over that, you've got it within your spending authority to
Yeah, I mean, I would,
offset that cost, right?
if
No?
you do a not to exceed, then yeah,
Yeah, then we're kind
technically.
of stuck. Yeah, because
but
you
I-
can't countermand your motion.
I would say.
So
with
can we
the-
just take it up 1,000, you think, with,
I don't think it would need to, but I mean,
but
we can.
Save.
Yeah, I really like to have equipment looked at, figure out what you want, get it done in one shot instead
Sure.
of coming back later on and adding to it.
Completely agree.
With that, if that's agreeable with you, then I would make a motion to approve the quotes from Trailers Plus Wichita for 6'4" by 14-foot tandem utility wood floor rear grate, rear grate trailer for $31.99, and a wildland skid mount firefighting unit, 55-gallon high-pressure pump, plus shipping, $21.92.95 from Hyman Fire Equipment, with a total budget not to exceed $6,500.
second?
Heard the motion and the second to approve this equipment for the fire department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Congratulations, Jim.
All right, thank you very much.
I'll sleep better knowing that trailer's not overloaded.
too.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consideration of 2021 slurry seal project. Do we get to put Pat at the podium on this one?
We can, for sure. You know, he can probably answer questions on any of the specific areas, more so than I. Basically, we've done business with South Central Sealing and Paving the last 3 years on the slurry seal treatment for the roads, which, you know, is a normal maintenance cycle for our asphalt streets. Typically, that can last or should be done about every 5 years. We have been pretty aggressive with sealing in those last 3 years and have essentially addressed all the streets that aren't earmarked for reconstruction or further repair, south of Sixth Street and then west of Main. So we had South Central come out and essentially look at the remaining asphalt streets in the city. That would be, slurry seal would be the most appropriate maintenance of. And you can kind of see there's multiple projects, but we kind of looked at them as a multi-year to get the rest of those asphalt streets addressed. One change we're proposing is Fifth Street was actually contained certain blocks 1 year and certain blocks in a different year. If we do all of Fifth Street, it essentially would add some costs to that Project 1 and Project 1A. And so that's why you see a request for the 100,000, so we can address all of Fifth Street. But I will gladly let Pat come up and talk a little bit more about the specific areas or answer any questions on what they're addressing and patching.
I think it'd only be appropriate to put him on the spot for a couple of minutes.
Good evening.
I got him up there, counsel.
But he's not on camera.
He will be.
Yeah.
Has it just not switched yet?
Hmm?
Said, has it just not switched yet?
There it is.
They're waiting for the delay.
You got about
Looking good on the camera
a
right
2-minute
now.
delay.
You just got-
Just arriving at the podium.
And so ends the discussion. If you have any questions.
Roughly how many blocks are covered by this plan, Pat?
I have to admit, I don't have the plan in front of me, so I believe there is about 12 blocks. Might be just more than that, but I think about 12.
Project 1, there's a lot There's a lot going on that one.
Yeah, the thing we concentrated on for this area of town, I had them look at the worst parts first. So that's why it kind of jumps around like it did. So they was going after any of the streets that were showing a lot more distress than the better streets. So we wanted to try and get some of them saved or at least covered to protect them while we caught up with the rest, and then we'll see where our reconstruction takes us.
You feel like with the chip and slurry seal done, that the streets we're looking at, you'll get 5 years or longer life added to them?
I believe so, yeah.
Some of those look like they had pretty serious base problems,
Yeah, yeah, they
especially
do.
like on Sweezy.
And there is a lot of that going on, and yes, this is only buying time, but they're only going to get worse if we don't do something now,
Need to
so,
do it. Granted.
yeah.
And like I say, this is a top coat. This isn't a complete street rebuild.
No.
Which there's some streets in town that we're going to have to do this, and some were planned to do this year, but with everything else that's happened, we just can't do it financially.
Yeah, we'll get
think
what we
you
can
did it.
get and go from there.
From what I looked at, I think you did good coverage on the streets over there, so.
There's a lot of work there, so that's good, yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks South Central for spending the time and surveying all that area of town. And the only thing I didn't have them look at on this was Second Street, North Street, and they haven't been into like Cedar Drive area yet, so. But we was just kind of worried about this part right here, so. Between Second and Sixth. Out to
Well, we
Halstead.
have a budget, so we have to prioritize.
Yep.
Any other questions, council?
Well, if there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the proposal for the patching and slurry seal work by South Central Sealing and Paving for an amount not to exceed $100,000 and approval for staff to sign necessary documentation.
Second.
Heard the motion and the second for the slurry seal project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me pick on you, Pat. We'll move on to the next item. It's consideration of ordinance number 1310, and that's the Wedgewood Golf Course annexation. Ethan will enlighten us on that one.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. You have the updated, hot off the press ordinance from City Attorney Jantz in front of you as a handout. So this would be the ordinance we're actually looking at as opposed to the draft one that was in the council packet. You'll notice, and I'll let Brad speak to more why this was important for us to do. We did change the legal description slightly from the original survey that the city had done, and that's related to the road and us only annexing the actual pinned property as opposed to some of the easements. So I will turn that over to Brad to explain why we're doing that.
And ultimately why you have 3 exhibits. I'm trying to make this as absolutely clear as I can. The county raised the question as well, so we wanted to be certain that there wasn't any doubt about what we were doing. When we submitted it to them, prior to submitting this and at the determination of the need or the wish to annex, we contacted Garber's and asked them to give us a meets and bounds description of our golf course so that we had that fully pinned corner to corner to corner to corner. They did that, but legally, in an area like in the county, it goes to section line. So even though they'll show the meets and bounds description of the actual course itself, it actually goes out into what amounts to the center of the roadways, which we don't want. We don't want any of that public easement. We don't want any of that roadway. We want no issues with the township or the county. We did submit the legal description for purposes of approval by the county as they provided it to us, somewhat candidly, unbeknownst to us, that it really was reading that way. That's more than we're taking in anyway, so that's really not a particular issue. Also, the only portion we're not taking in is the public right-of-way that we would have no desire for at any time. And so when I contacted Garpers about that, he explained that, yes, we understood what you wanted, but the legal does need to read to the section line in order for it to correspond, so you don't leave some little no man's land strip. I then explained what it was we were wanting was just the course. And so he said, that's not a problem to do. And he was cooperative, Kerry went ahead and redrew that, which is now Exhibit A, which is the slightly, about an acre less, and it's clearly marked for annexation purposes. And I wanted that in there so it'd be published that way. And then the second two pages, Exhibit B and C, are the legally appropriate description of the entire tract and a map rendition of that as well. So we got it both ways. I changed the legal description or the reference to the exhibits in the actual ordinance to make it very clear. This is what we're taking in within this larger tract, and you can see the difference because A is what we're doing, B and C is the larger portion or parcel within which it's located. So that there should not be a problem if someone ever looked at it to see what we annexed and what we intended not to annex. So that was the reason for this last little change, and then I highlighted it in the description at the bottom of the page, all in caps and bold, so that everyone would know, hey, this is what we're doing. And I think that should satisfy everybody's needs.
What was the negative of going along with the center of the right-of-way?
Well, if we take in the right-of-way for annexation purposes, then, not that it's sustainable necessarily, but the argument can be raised that, well, okay, then you guys take care of those roads. Like the township.
We don't own the bridge.
No, we don't.
For the record, we don't own the bridge.
Bridge is not ours. We don't even know it's there.
Yes, it is. It's on the golf course.
So, anyway, but that's the negative, or at least the argument that can be raised, and just didn't see any reason to have that problem. That wasn't our intent anyway. I don't believe everyone just wanted to take in the course. And so I think we've got that cleared up now.
So it would also relieve any liability on that too, would it not?
Yeah.
That's important
Yep.
because we have people that actually park on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's county property.
And, yeah, and that remains county property, so I don't want to
like
get in
the
the
way you
middle of
think,
any of
yeah.
that, so. So, that's the explanation on that.
Can this ordinance be read as in our council packets? Is that,
Yes,
Okay.
the ordinance, the heading in the ordinance is just the same.
okay.
Nothing's really changed there, just the legal so that we know exactly what we took in.
Did you have a question, Ned?
I was gonna make a motion, but go ahead.
Well, if there are no question or discussion, I would make a motion to approve ordinance number 1310, an ordinance annexing land into the city of Halstead, Kansas.
Second.
We have the motion and the second to approve this ordinance to annex Wedgewood Golf Course. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. There'll be some paperwork filing, I'm sure, to complete that task. We're gonna move on to our last item under new business, and that is consideration of ordinance 1311. And that's an engine braking, or prohibition in city limits.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is kind of as a result of what was brought up during the governing body section in the last meeting, or the added agenda item. So you have a draft ordinance of what a prohibition for engine braking would look like. You do have an updated draft that was provided as a pack out or provided in the packet. Not a lot of substantial changes. The main change here is, after talking to Brad, we are looking at recodification here, hopefully in the near future. So we decided that if we were going to add this as part of our ordinances, that we should put it appropriately in city code. So this would become section 14.210, which Article 14 of our city code deals with local traffic ordinances, basically. Or chapter 14, thank you. Article 2, section 10.
There you go.
So, that is the main change. You'll note in there was just kind of a freestanding ordinance, the one that was in the packet. So, other than that, the language should be all the same, and Chief Orem, myself, or Brad can answer any questions the council would have on this.
Just by way of a little further explanation, I went ahead and, over time, having done a number of these in different settings, you add sections as they come up. Well, okay, how are we gonna, like, Chief might ask that question, all right, what do you want me to do to post this? Well, I've set it so that we post these at all the city limits, so that we do have that as an enforceable form of ordinance within the city. Also, the penalty, I made sure that there was a minimum. So if we cite someone and they're convicted, it's not, okay, there's no fine, or the fine is waived. It's a $50 fine minimum up to a Class C misdemeanor maximum of $500, and that's usually what most cities are comfortable with. So I presume to put that in there as well. And then there really, emergency vehicles are generally going to be exempt, because otherwise there are some that, would fit into that category and might utilize that capability. So took that because I've had that run into that before. Then beyond that, all of the standard definitions that are used actually in our standard traffic ordinance and in the state statute are encompassed in this as well on the first page. So everyone should know what the heck a Jake brake violation is. If they are ever cited for it, need to take a look at it. And then, as Ethan said, we decided to just add it to the traffic control or traffic safety laws, which is under Chapter 14 in Article 2. So,
Well, if there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 1311, an ordinance relating to the providing of restriction of the use of engine brakes within the city of Halstead, Kansas.
Second. Have the motion and the second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And next thing on the agenda is an executive session that I'll entertain the motion for now, as soon as Ethan's done writing it.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss pending litigation and contract pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, exception KSA 75-4319B2, and ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and city attorney.
before that's seconded or voted upon, did you say and contracts?
Yes.
Going to need to probably do those separately, even though the purpose, the exception is the same, the purpose is different. And if Jared decides to get picky with us, and he could, it really should be two separate motions and separate executives.
Okay.
So we'll need an hour.
Do pending litigation and we'll come back.
All right.
Do we need to restate it, or are we good?
Nope.
Or at least strike that as an.
Strike, yeah,
It hasn't been
strike and
seconded yet,
contract.
so the modification is certainly not a problem.
Just to discuss pending litigation. All right, the open meeting and governing body to, do we need still 30 minutes then?
Yeah.
Okay, the opening meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 8:20 PM.
Second. Have the motion and the second to move into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will be moving to executive session.
That was a hard one.
Okay, we're back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result though? Seeing no movement from the council, I do know we need another executive session, and I'll entertain that motion now.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship exceptions KSA 75-4319B2, and ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene at the city council chamber at 8:40 PM.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to move into our second executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be back.
did that so elegantly.
We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Hearing nothing from the council, we will continue on our agenda, and now we are going to the report section, and we'll start with governing body. And tonight I'll start with you, Ed.
The only thing I have is for those of you who have not taken your COVID shot, please do. It helps everybody around you.
George?
Nothing, sir.
Mike?
I'm going to remain silent tonight.
Sam? You know, I didn't believe it either.
I'm going to echo Ed. I firmly believe that even if you don't believe in the COVID, have consideration for the people around you and get your COVID shots.
Denise?
I will echo, and it doesn't matter which of the three you get, Moderna, Pfizer, or the Johnson & Johnson or Janssen. It's up there. All three of them are good. I would like to say that it was nice to see the soccer goals up out at Williams Park, so that was encouraging, and it's really encouraging to see the big yellow buses out in front of the Health Museum again.
That's nice.
It's very nice to see that. So I think we're slowly but surely getting back to some kind of a normalcy, if you will. Oh, it's good.
Now I feel bad.
Same.
I promoted your product, so.
Okay. Now we're gonna move on to, I will let you know that I do get my second COVID shot this Friday, so hopefully I'll be out of the woods on all that soon. So moving along, Ethan has done his due diligence to put a couple of proclamations in front of me, and I'm gonna shorten them up a little bit this evening. And the first one is Arbor Day proclamation. And I, Dennis Travis, as the mayor of the city of Halstead, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day. And in the city of Halstead, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to care for our trees and woodlands and to support our city's community forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Dated this 26th day of April, 2021, Dennis Travis, Mayor. Now,
Best proclamations.
we're gonna
In
move on to
years.
the Public Service Recognition Week, and I do definitely appreciate everybody that is involved in public service. This includes military, police, fire, border patrol, embassy employees. There's a whole list of them here. So I'm going to proclaim that as Dennis Travis, Mayor of the City of Halstead, Kansas, do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens and set seal hereunto that May 2nd through the 8th, 2021 is Public Service Recognition Week, and encourage all citizens to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, city, and county. Signed this 26th day of April 2021, Dennis Travis, Mayor. That being said, we'll move on to the manager section of our reports, and now I can put Ethan on the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Police reported 55 calls for service, 7 criminal cases, and 15 traffic stops. Police staff continue looking at options for body camera replacement as we near the end of the life cycle of our current solution. Fire reported 14 calls for service, including 3 grass fires and 2 auto aids for structure fires. Chiefs Van Scoik and Hoffman worked with surrounding departments to save overall costs on the ladder inspection for Quint 23. And Halstead Fire has also aided with several prescribed burns in the area recently. EMS has been staying very busy with runs in the recent weeks, but staff did manage to find time to assist the Kansas Learning Center for Health with their recent babysitting clinic, and they have finished licensing with the state. Halstead Parks and Recreation have continued maintenance at the ball diamonds, including repairs to the scoreboards. Director Williams is partnering with the Ks from USD 440 for an upcoming service day that includes work at the parks such as mulching around the playground equipment. Rec soccer continues being played and practiced at Williams Park. Basketball camp is wrapping up, and summer sports sign-up is beginning for rec leagues. Wedgewood's up to 90 members and has multiple upcoming tournaments. Renovation of most of the bunkers have been completed, and ropes were taken down today on the fairways. And those had been placed to try and protect the fairway grass and promote growth in some spots that were having less than favorable growth. Leagues have begun play at the course, and rounds played remained high. Weekends are especially busy. Public Works has continued work on pothole patching around the city and then performed hydrant flushing as well. 2 water services and meter pits were repaired and 2 were replaced. Staff also responded to a lift station call out, 2 gas leak reports, 1 burial, 16 locates, and 9 building inspections. Public Works also assisted Parks and Recreation with repairs to the scoreboards. City Superintendent Adams and I also met with Engineer Foraker on the 9th and Walnut plans for street repairs. And hopefully we'll be getting a proposal for core samples and moving forward on getting that project in the works. Administration continues to be busy with utility agreements related to the high gas bills and integrating those agreements into the billing system. Staff had extended hours on Saturday, the 17th, and then we're open again late on Wednesday and Friday of last week in an effort to assist as many people as possible and those that can't normally come in 8 to 5. Our best count is that we are now over 550 customers currently under agreement or that have paid their bill in full for February's billing. Staff will continue working this week on trying to make contact with those customers we have yet to hear from. The city does plan to begin reinstating normal utility fees and the normal utility calendar with the May billing, where bills would be due on the 16th of the month by 10 a.m. to avoid any sort of late fee, and then turn-offs for persons not under a payment agreement or with an outstanding active balance on their accounts as of 10 a.m. on the 23rd. Finally, the deadline to file for office is June 1st. I will be conducting an informational training for those interested in running for office during May, but interested people can contact City Hall or the County Courthouse for more information on filing. As we normally do every 2 years during our local election cycle, there are 3 city council seats that will be open and the mayor position as well. So just a reminder that if you plan to refile, do so by June 1st. And that is all I have this evening.
Council, any questions of Ethan's report? I would entertain a motion for adjournment then.
So moved. Second.
Can't second yourself.
It came out, it just barely came out.
I literally heard the same voice.
I said I wasn't gonna talk. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Here we have an official motion.
Low
and second.
biorhythm day or something on.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carlos is
Same
shaking his
sign.
head.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
George.
He's thinking, what did I get myself into?
Motion made.